Hi guys, welcome back. My name's Chess, this is the Scapegoat Club, and I am the scapegoat in a narcissistic family, and I am recovering from that. And today I wanted to chat about what I'm calling superhero syndrome. So superhero syndrome is something I've just made up, but it's something that I realized that I have really, really high expectations of myself, and I'm very unsympathetic to myself when I dip below those expectations. And I think we all expect a lot of ourselves. Well, pretty much, yes. It's something that we commonly suffer from. But I wanted to chat about how I think mine relates to my upbringing and my narcissistic family, and just because that's really helping me take a step back and try and work with it and try and be a little bit more kind and generous with myself, and it's really helping me move on. So superhero syndrome, when you just expect yourself to be better and just better, and you think that the rules shouldn't apply, you shouldn't be weak, you shouldn't be slow, you should be able to do everything, you should be able to get everything done in a certain amount of time. That's what I'm talking about. And for me, a lot of it comes from my narcissistic family, where I was the scapegoat child, where my narcissistic parents had their golden child, who was my sister, and she couldn't do anything wrong, and she was the favorite, and she was just, the golden child. I was, and still am, the black sheep. Why do I have to do things that way? Why am I so difficult? Why am I such a troublemaker? Everything, and I get blamed for things I haven't done. It just goes on and on and on. But I think what happens especially when you're a kid, is you need acknowledgement, support, and recognition from your parents, from your caregivers, to support you. It's a natural thing, even as adults. Actually, we want that in our close relationships. We want people to see what the good parts of ourselves, and celebrate that, along with helping us out with other things as well. But so the problem, though, with having narcissistic parents is that, and being the scapegoat child, is that there was no praise. I'm 45 years old, and I can think of one time when my mum and dad combined, between them, one time that they've said something positive to me and I'll tell you what it is. Actually, it was on my wedding day, and my mum said, direct quote, "We are proud of you, That's all I've ever had from them directly. So no, good job on that. No, you did great in your exam results. Everything was like, well, we expected that of you, or oh yeah, well, your sister did well, so you should have done well. That kind of thing. So if you do well, it's minimized. It's never recognized. And I think as kids, and even now, I have that hunger for recognition from my parents, from my family, for doing well, and for being, and actually even anything, just being a human being. I want them to recognize and to celebrate who I am, but they can't do it. And so what's happened with that is that I have subconsciously taken that kind of mental narrative on board and turned it onto myself, and my mental narrative is it is, and I'm at least now I recognize it, and I'm trying to work with it. But I have my mental narrative is, if I can't be the best at something, then why would I bother? I have to be really, really good at things. There's no point in being mediocre. There's no point in doing things for fun. I need to be the best. And then that's a joke, because I'm not the best at anything. I'm good at some things. I'm not so good at other things. But to have that mindset and to carry that around in the world is actually really sad. It means, where's the fun and where's the joy? And there's no I'm just gonna play with this and see what happens. You can't make mistakes. You can't just, do things just for the hell of it. So I was thinking of a few examples of what my parents have said and done to kind of enforce their ideas on me. They're very, very academically focused. They believe that academic achievement is probably the highest of the high. And so I did pretty well academically. I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I spent a lot of years in school doing things that actually I never really wanted to do. Or at the time, I guess I kind of talked myself into it, but now I look back, I've never used that schooling. I did it because that's something that they recognized and something that they wanted. But did they ever acknowledge it to me and say, good job, we're so proud of you, look at you, you've got 2 degrees and woohoo? No, never. Another brilliant one, and this is almost laughable if it hadn't been so painful and dangerous. My parents are very much into, well, I was going to say into health and fitness, but they're not really. They just judge people who they don't think are fit and healthy. So if you're bigger than they think you should be, if you're smaller than they think you should be, anything, they just judge people. That's what they do. And so I've always tried to be fit and healthy, to try and make them proud of me. And I also, I think I talked about this in another video, I took up running when I was a teenager. I think a lot of it was so that I could get out of the house and get away from them. So so I've run for many years. I don't run so much now, but they don't know that. So if I ever go and visit them again, I will be running all the time. So they then kind of turned this into something to make fun of me. And so this physical fitness thing, which is something that we should all, it's important that we all look after our own bodies. But I went home from university. I remember this really distinctly. I went home from university one time and my dad said, well, you're really fit and healthy. You need to help me move the fridge. And they lived in this house that had a lot of steps in it. And I guess he'd been waiting for me to come home to move this damn fridge. And I don't know if you've ever moved a fridge, but they are really big. Yeah, Chess, we know that. They're really heavy and they're really awkward. There's a reason why we have removal people to help with things, and you have those, wheelie trolleys and all that stuff. Oh no, my dad is like, get on the end of that and we're going to move it. You take the heavy end, I'll just guide it from this end. I don't know how I didn't injure myself, but I was so, his manner was, well, what do you mean you can't do it? Come on, you're supposed to be fit, you're supposed to be strong. And so it was kind of baiting me and chiding me and making fun of me to try and make me move this fridge. I tried, I couldn't do it actually, and thank God I just we moved it a few feet and then I was like, no, you're gonna have to get someone else. This is why you get people to help you with this kind of thing. But the fact that he tried to shame me into doing it, that's just pathetic. And I realized as well, the big thing that I'm grappling with now is that I've never allowed or been allowed to feel negative emotions and to say no. Anytime I argue or say no or fight back against my narcissistic parents, I was just told, you're wrong, you're ungrateful, what's wrong with you? All that kind of thing. If I was a kid and I didn't like something that was on my plate, because kids don't like some vegetables or whatever, I would get the whole, well, starving people would want that meal and you're so ungrateful and you're just being silly and you're just being fussy. And I lose count of the number of times that I have to finish my meal in silence on my own in tears because, I would finish it or else. Any kind of illness, I was never allowed to be ill. There's nothing wrong with you, stop wasting the doctor's time. My parents don't agree with, they don't believe in depression or anxiety. Not in me, thank God. I didn't tell them that I had it. I just remember a friend of the family had it, and she wasn't working because of that, and they didn't even know this poor woman, and none of us knew her story or anything, but they were just like, yeah, she doesn't work, she's got depression. So I realized that I've never been able to have negative emotions. If I say I don't like somebody, or I didn't want to do something, well, you're spoiled, you should do, you're selfish, well, maybe they don't like you very much, maybe you're not a very nice person, all that kind of narrative. And I realized that, it's important to try new vegetables. It's important to try and get on with people you may not, gel with straight away. It's important to push yourself in certain situations and to try harder. But it is also just as important to recognize when you're not comfortable, when you don't like something, when you don't want to do something. It is so important. And it's wrong to minimize those things. And actually, if you're trying to improve, if you're trying to get better, if you're trying to get over something you don't like, or a phobia or something, if you ignore your natural warning system that says I'm scared or I'm uncomfortable, we have those things wired into us for a reason. And it's important to recognize them. And it could be that those things are telling us something very important, like, I don't want to lift this fridge because I think I could hurt myself, and I don't want to injure myself because that is bad for my health. So overriding those negative emotions is so unhealthy and just so wrong. And it means that for me, I found myself that I automatically try to ignore those. I try and get away from anything negative. I do it with friends as well. I'm trying not to. They're like, oh, I had a bad day. I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. You'll get over it. No, if they're saying they have a bad day, you want to listen and hear that someone had a bad day and why. And you know what? It's okay to have a bad day, because tomorrow may or may not be a bad day, and we need to roll with it as it goes and as it comes. And that's the way to get through life and fix things and move on and just deal with things as they come. Not to ignore them and pretend they're not there, and not to be this superhero person that you're not. Because eventually, if you try and keep doing everything that you think you should do, you don't take care of your health, you don't take care of your own needs, you don't give yourself enough time, eventually you will burn out in one way or the other, and that is no good for anybody. And so what I'm trying to do now is just recognize when I'm going into that space where I say I can't feel negative, or I must try and override that, or I must do better, and I must achieve more. I'm doing okay, and I'm doing my best. And sometimes I could do better, so I'll recognize that when I can, and I will try harder when I can. But let's all just I need to be really kind to myself, and I hope that you can too, and just realize that we're all human, and whether the narcissists in our lives accept that or not, that's fine, that's on them. So that's me for today. I really hope that you're doing well and you're being kind to yourselves, and if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, drop me a message if you'd like to say hello. I love hearing from you, and I will look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care, my friends. Bye for now.